Here's the thing. Birds are real, and it's mean to say that they're not.
We're back again.
We are
Can you believe it?
before we actually hit record on this, Sam said, "Hey, let me think of something fun to say," and just said, "We're back."
We're
So
back.
super
It's
fun.
really it's fun to say we're back. Like,
It is fun to
have you
say we're
if you've
back.
never tried it, just try saying we're back various times
I
throughout the day.
I think saying we're back kind of like implies that, people are excited for us to be back, which, whether that's true or not, I think that's just fun for us, you know.
Yeah, positive affirmations,
Positive affirmations, yes.
Gotta think it before we can put it out into the world.
Hmm. And this is going to be two episodes in 2 weeks, right? Can you believe it?
Hopefully, if we can get this one out in time, but it'll be about
Hopefully,
2 weeks.
maybe,
Yeah.
if we can get this one out in time. Okay, it'll be about 2 weeks. Okay, gotcha. Um, Cool. So yeah, we are back. We're back to recording episodes on a semi-regular rate after our little hiatus.
hmm
So yeah, stay tuned for weekly, bi-weekly episodes.
Yeah. And we got a good one for you today. I think. I don't know. Keish prepared it. I know nothing about it.
Mhm. We can leave that up to the listeners at the end. We still have a perfect 5-star rating on Spotify, which is the only reason for me to keep going. So um yeah, hopefully this is another great episode for you guys.
Yeah. Yeah. Reviews are actually very important in terms of SEO. I know at
Hmm.
least Google reviews are. Now, we don't have a Google business profile, but I have to assume that Spotify reviews are also very important. So make sure you rate 5 stars. If you're thinking of rating anything less than 5 stars, don't. But if you're thinking of rating 5 stars, good choice.
Yeah, don't be like those people that are like, we'll give them 4 stars because there's always room for improvement. We don't want that type of
Yeah.
feedback at all. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. This is true of Google reviews too, even beyond the podcast. If you're ever going to leave a review and you want to be like, I'm going to leave a good review for this business, the only good review is a 5 star review. If you leave a 4 star review, it hurts that business, SEO wise. So just keep that in mind. If you're trying to be like a critic, I know on like Letterboxd, people like to put like a 3 and be like, oh, it could have been better. If you're trying to support a business, just give them a 5, even if it wasn't like perfect.
Good to know. Good to know. All right. So, uh, after that little SEO tip, should we get into our field notes?
Yeah, this is a podcast about birds, by the way.
Yeah, if that wasn't super clear, we talk about birds on this podcast. Um, cool. So I do have some field notes. Hadn't been out birding in a significant capacity in a while, so it was nice to get out there. I thought I maybe like lost my chance to see some wintering waterfowl because I really haven't been birding too much throughout the winter. For multiple reasons. But I went to Stumpy Lake again and went to Mount Trashmore and I saw some hooded mergansers in the 60 degree weather, which I didn't expect. I was very happy about. I found myself, I think one of the barriers for me into going, out birding again was, um, as you may know, that I tend to develop a photo backlog of photos that, need to be processed, need to be edited, but just aren't. So, I don't go out because I still haven't processed those photos, but I'm just not processing those photos anyway, so I just don't go out. Which, we've talked about that on the podcast. And so I didn't bring my camera. I was like, hey, you know what? I like birding. I don't only like bird photography. That's not the only reason I do this birding thing. So went out without my camera, had a great time. I felt like I need to explore a new place. And then I was like, why, I don't need to do that. I can go, I enjoy myself at Stumpy Lake Natural Area. I like Mount Trashmore. I just went back there, had a great time.
Great. I mean that's the way to do it. I I mean hoodie mergs, as we like to call them, elite birds, elite. Um, and I'm glad you got to see some
Woody Merg.
before the season
Mm-hmm.
totally went out. I will say we're having a little bit of connection
Mm-hmm.
issue here. At least Keish keeps freezing up for me. I'm probably freezing up for him.
Oh.
So in the final product, hopefully that is not the case. I don't know how Zoom records these things, but sorry if there's some delays. So if Keish says something insightful and then it seems like I don't respond to that, it's because I didn't hear it. So just keep that in mind as you're going through the episode. But I did go birding. I did bring my camera. So I've started this thing at my work. I've developed a devious plan to turn my coworkers into birders. There is, I won't bore you with all the details, but I've developed a competition among my coworkers. We have this big meeting every week,
Mm.
and I've gotten them to add birds that they've seen to a spreadsheet. I've made this spreadsheet and a scoring system. So every time one of my coworkers sees a bird, they can add it to this spreadsheet. If they correctly identify the bird, they get a bonus point. If they get a bird that is new to their personal life list, they get 2 bonus points. If they get a bird that is not on my life list, they get 5 bonus points. And if they see a bird and take a picture of it and add it to their spreadsheet, it's 10 points. So I'm just trying to get everyone to see birds, take pictures of birds, and try to ID birds. And you know, it's working pretty well, I'd say. I, but it's also gotten me more into like, I have to participate in this too. I can't let people beat me in this competition. It's a weekly thing. So I've been going out, I've been
Mm-hmm.
taking pictures, and I've been really paying attention to, I mean, you get like points for the amount of each thing you see also. So I've been using eBird. I've been doing an eBird checklists, which I never do, but I'm doing it now. And I know we just
Whoa.
had, this episode a couple episodes ago, the episode about listers, the documentary, where we kind of were like, eBird checklists are bad. They're no good. You can bird without them.
I
I'm
don't know if
having a
that's
great
exactly what
time.
we said, but sure.
Yeah, no, I'm actually having a really good time with these eBird checklists. It is making me, I think, appreciate species that I take for granted because I'm like every week it's kind of like a new thing. So I
Hmm.
saw 13 species yesterday when I went to
Okay.
John Hines. I saw 48 Canada geese, 10 mallards, 5 mourning doves, 2 ring-billed gulls, 1 bald eagle, 1 red-shouldered hawk, 3 downy woodpeckers, 9 American crows, 1 northern mockingbird, 25 American robins, 7 red-winged blackbirds, 1 northern cardinal, and 2 rusty blackbirds. So
Ooh, the
nothing
Rusties are
too,
back.
yeah, the rusties were, that was pretty cool. In with a flock of robins. There were so many robins,
Hmm.
and then just a couple of rusties. So, yeah, nice to go out to John Hines again. Finally, there was a lot of snow. They cleared the snow from the parking lot, so you could park there at least, and still kind of snowy, slushy on the track, but it's been warmer, so that's melting. No waterfowl except for the mallards and the geese, which are always there. But yeah, nice to be back and do the thing.
Nice. Hey, that's awesome. And I forget the word you used, but you said you had like a sneaky plot to turn your workplace into I think this is a
Devious
pretty o
plan.
devious
Yeah.
plan. I think this
Hmm.
is a pretty overt plan at this point, and I think people are into it, which sounds pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
well,
think they're yeah.
yeah, it's one of these things, people in my work, they really respond to a competition. So
Mm.
if I assign, arbitrary point values and declare a winner each week, they're gonna do it. So I think it'll work.
Gotcha. Nice. I realized I only said hooded merganser, which I mean I was happy to see in the 60-degree weather, but I also saw a pied-billed
Oh,
grebe. Um, and I'm pretty sure I saw a pine warbler. I did realize that when I don't bring my camera and I just bring my binoculars, I think with IDs, I always had like the fail safe in my mind where it's like as long as I get a picture, I can ID it later. But with the binoculars, you have to kind of try to ID it in real time. So that was just like a good like switch in my brain, to like
hmm.
try to ID the bird in real time. And I think it was a pine warbler. which we
Nice.
have seen before, but still
Yeah,
pretty cool.
still cool. I mean that's especially hard to do with the warblers because
Hmm.
they're small. You don't really get to see them for a long amount. I won't speak for you, but most of the times when we see a warbler, it's flittering around, so you can't
Hmm.
really get like a great look at it. But it's impressive, I think, that you were able to ID it. I would count that on my devious plot spreadsheet as a an ID. So. Very cool. Nice that there's
Cool.
warblers warbling around near you. And that
Hmm.
means that soon they'll be up here, I think.
Yeah, probably.
Right? I don't
It's
know.
interesting that hooded mergansers are still, here down in Virginia Beach, and sounds like you haven't been seeing too many up north.
Well, I saw a bunch in Connecticut when I was there
Ah.
over the holidays. I guess that was
Hmm.
over a month ago, but did see a lot then. Um, haven't really seen any in Philly, but that's because everything, like all the water that I would normally go to is
That
frozen. So like I
that's a good
haven't,
point. Yeah.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Um, but yeah, they kind of been around. Today's hoot topic is a special hoot topic because it comes from my mom. Hi, Mom. Thanks for sending a hoot topic. We have other listeners besides just like family members who send in hoot topics, by the way, but this was a really good one, so we wanted to choose it. This is in the theme of music. If you were going to put together a band of birds, which birds would you choose and what role would they play? This could reflect their songs slash calls, their personalities, and maybe the type of music too. Thanks and keep up the good work. Nice little positive affirmation there. We've talked about how we respond well to
Hmm.
nice kind words. So
Thank you, Sam Small. And great question. Sam and I haven't talked about our answers yet, but I had a fun time making up my little band here.
I did too. Why don't
All
we hear
right.
yours first?
Okay. So I went, I don't know. I you're the music guy, so you probably have more I don't know, better answers than I do. But so I went with a few roles. I went with the lead vocalist, because you need a vocalist, a guitarist, a bassist, a drummer, and a keyboardist, because I think that's fun. So with my lead vocalist, I went with the superb lyrebird.
That's a
You
good
know
one.
about the superb lyrebird?
I know that one from Wingspan, where you
Yeah,
get to
same.
copy a brown power of another player, so I'm guessing it's a good mimic.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm glad you got there. Yes, so that was my main thing, So gonna be my vocalist. It's a great mimic. So, a lot of different styles, a lot of different octaves and whatnot. I don't know much about music. So, and also, I feel like your lead vocalist needs to be kind of a showman, have a little bit of, sh something to show off visually. And the Superb Lyrebird's got that beautiful tail.
Yeah,
So, I thought that would be a great, lead vocalist for my group here.
I think it is. I think the nice thing is it can also double as a harp player because it's got the
Mm.
lyre tail, it can just strum itself.
Yeah, I did want to incorporate lyre as in like Lyre, for those not familiar. But I didn't know how to. So I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
Next up, we have my lead guitarist, and maybe a little basic, but this bird has a lot of different calls, very melodious. Any guesses?
Um, I'm worried that it's one that I chose, so I'm not gonna guess because I'm gonna have to
Okay, that's
change it
fine.
if it's one that I chose.
No, no, that's fine. So I went with the Carolina Wren.
Yeah, yep.
Oh, dang.
That's what I thought it might be.
I mean, okay, so we were thinking along, maybe similar lines. Very melodic. It has a bunch of different calls. So, if I wanted like a guitar solo in there, apart from, its normal guitar rhythm, Carolina Wren can deliver that.
They do like consistently have one of the more noticeable calls, I think.
more noticeable call. It's pretty loud for how small the
Very
bird
loud.
is.
Yep.
Um, so yeah, that's my lead guitarist. For the bassist, I wanted something a little more like deep, guttural kind of sound. So I went with the double-crested cormorant.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's good. You don't think about the call of that very often, but
You don't.
yeah. But that's an
And
interesting call.
it's a really cool call. And it also has like an interesting cadence to it. So like I don't know. It feels like the double crested cormorant can like hold the beat, in terms of its cadence, and it has that just like deeper sound, which I associate with bass. So
Cool.
double crested cormorant.
Great.
Next up, we have my drummer, or should I say drummers, because I chose A Murder of Crows.
Oh, nice. All right.
Just a bunch of crows because they're one of the few birds that, have been shown to use tools. They're smart enough to use tools and, you kind of need like to use the drumsticks to to play the drums or like, use the pedal. And one crow unfortunately can't do it all on like a drum set, right? So I'm just gonna have a murder of crows playing the drums.
I think that makes a lot of sense. You have one on the ride cymbal, one on the crash, a couple on the tom toms. You got one working the pedal. I think that worked because, at least when you walk around John Hines, I think this is true of most places too. Crows do start mobbing. They kind of go into a tree, especially when there's like a hawk around. They'll one by one kind of make their way into a tree, a bit cacophonous as they do that, and seems
Hmm.
perfect for a drum set. Replace tree with drum set, you're good.
Amazing. And last but not least, we have our keyboardist. Kind of a throwback to, I think, something we discussed in season one when we were talking about wings. Any ideas?
Ooh, okay. I mean, there's the American woodcock that
Or
does the
or
little
sorry,
wing.
feathers. I think feathers. Feathers,
uh,
wings.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, even so, the American woodcock does the little wing sound when it flaps its wings.
it's true.
I don't know. What do you have?
I have the clubbed winged mannequin.
Ooh, okay.
If you remember that. Remember it's the bird that produces like a type of call just with wing vibrations when it
Yeah.
vibrates its wings together. And it produces like this like very like electronic like synth vibe kind of sound. So I thought that would add to the group pretty well.
Nice. All right. So you're going with like a kind of like 80s new wave kind of vibe, huh?
Yeah, I mean that's some of the type of music that I like as well. So yeah, I think that's kind of the vibe I was going for.
That's good. That's a good band. I look forward to hearing that. Keisha's actually promised to produce a song uh
Mm,
with the no. But yeah, I think those are good choices. I I went in a slightly different direction. I also have a five-piece band, but in this case mine is a brass quintet. Um I
interesting.
am, yeah. I'm a brass boy. I grew up playing the trombone, a little tuba, a little tiny bit of trumpet too. I have some experience there. So, and some of my best memories of playing brass instruments are did a little brass quintet thing in middle school, and that was a lot of fun. So there's not necessarily a standard lineup of instruments in a brass quintet, but this is the one that I think is the most common. Two trumpets, one French horn, one trombone, one tuba. So five pieces there. And I'm gonna start with the trombone. Like I said, I was a trombone player growing up. That was kind of my thing. And the thing that's cool about a trombone, which is different from basically any other, common American instrument, is that you don't press the buttons down. You use a slide. It goes in and out. It can get real long and come right back in. And so a bird that I think can do that, I had to go with a heron in the heron family. My initial thought was great blue heron because they're, really tall. They have that long neck, but they don't really kind of do the in and out thing. They're just out the whole time. They got a really long neck. I think
Hmm.
the bird that I see that always surprises me with how long its neck actually is the green heron. So I went with the green
Ooh,
heron there
good
because they
choice.
start really compact and then they just like keep going and going and going, uh, seemingly forever. So I think it'd be a good trombone player because they kind of are trombones in and of themselves.
I think that's a great choice. I thought you were gonna go maybe the bittern route on that one, but I think the green heron's a
Yeah.
great pick.
Similar enough. Like I feel like a green
Yeah.
heron and a bittern are almost the same thing. I've never seen a bittern, but I imagine at least
We missed that one by like
we
one
did.
day,
I know.
unfortunately.
By like 1 hour, I think
Yeah, that's true.
we
It
were
was like
so
this.
close.
Yeah. Ugh.
One
One
day,
of these days. Yeah.
once they put water back in Heinz in 2 years. But all right. So I'll go with my trumpets now. So trumpets, there's two of them in this brass quintet. They are loud. When you're in middle school, trumpet players, they're a little they can be a little obnoxious with their trumpets. They're kind of blaring it as loud as possible, but it comes together in a nice way. So I have two birds that when you think of loud, obnoxious calls, these two kind of come up. The first one I'm going with is the American herring gull.
Hmm.
Just kind of a classic gull. If you've been to a beach and you hear a gull making a sound, a lot of times it's this guy, and that's yeah, I think of it as kind of a trumpety sort of noise. My
Cool.
second one, I really thought about doing the trumpeter swan. It has a trumpet in the name. I think that's a little too obvious. And I don't know if it really fits the vibe of what I'm going for. So I went with a bird of prey. Any thoughts to which one I went with?
On a bird of prey trumpet? Maybe the barred owl? I'm not sure.
Very close. The barn owl I went with.
Barn owl.
Like, so
Okay.
the barred owl has that really nice "Who cooks for you?" like my favorite call ever. A barn
Yeah.
owl just screams. It is like blood curdling. It is like, whoa, what is happening here? So you kind of need the trumpets to pump up that volume, kind of that screaming noise. And I think under the right direction, it'll blend very nicely with our herring gull and our green heron.
Nice. So those are your two trumpet picks?
Those are my two trumpets. So
So,
moving
I
on
mean,
to the
hey,
yeah.
just, just really quickly off the record. Sounds like, there might be some unresolved tension you have with some middle school trumpet players. If you ever need to talk about that, like off camera, just one on one, just let me know if you need to talk
Okay.
about that.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
just oh man, they no the trumpets. I have some good friends who are trumpet players. I don't think they listen to this podcast, so I'm not too worried about it. But just in case they do, you're still good friends. I appreciate you, but you just weren't as good as the trombone section. That's all I'm saying. Um, French horn is the next one. This is an instrument that is not typically offered at the middle school level. So I don't really have that experience of playing with French horn players, but I have played a French horn before, very briefly. The interesting thing about a French horn is it's very loud. It's like one of the loudest instruments there is, so much so that in order to play it in a group, basically at all, you have to stick your hand inside the bell to muffle it.
Oh, I've seen that. I've
Yeah.
seen that. Okay. I
Yeah.
wasn't sure what they were
Basically,
doing.
yeah, pretty much constantly because it's so loud. So for this was where we had a bit of overlap, so I've changed it. But one
Mm.
call that I hear when I'm at John Hines that is consistently very loud, but also depending on where it is, quite muffled, is the Carolina Wren. It's a sound you can kind of pick up anywhere. French horn has a unique sound. The Wrens have a unique voice, but and it's a small guy. It's really powerful, but a lot of times it's not really that close to you when it's making these calls. It's pretty far away, and you
Mm.
can tell it sounds muffled, and it sounds like it's far away, but you can still hear it very clearly. And I think that kind of encapsulates the French horn. You muffle it, but you can still really pick it out. So I went with the house wren since you took the Carolina wren. Went with a house wren.
Hmm. Nice.
And finally, the tuba. So tuba is an interesting one. It's, a low sound. I played the tuba for a while. Most fun I ever had. It's incredible. It's just a huge honking thing. No one can really hear it. It just kind of provides a nice bass line that, you know, makes it really rich, the music. So I went with a bird. There aren't a lot of birds that make low sounds. There's,
Mm-mm.
like you said, the cormorants do. I went with the common raven. Common ravens kind of make a low guttural sound as well.
Yeah.
It's a little more akin to, boy, I can't remember the name of the percussion instrument, but it's the one that kind of has like spines on it and you like rub a stick across it. Do you know what I'm talking about? I don't know what it's
I
called.
do.
Yeah,
I don't know what it's called either.
I can't remember, but
Yeah.
I think it kind of works for this. I think as corvids, they are able to, make a variety of sounds. So they can, kind of adapt to what the group needs at the time, but they do kind of have a distinctive low voice. So that's my brass quintet.
Nice. I think that's a great lineup. I always forget that the probably because I haven't heard or seen too many Ravens, but I always forget that the Ravens are like definitely have a different call than the than crows do, and it's a lot lower.
Yeah, I think one of the best ways to tell apart American crows, fish crows, and common ravens is by the call, because they're all
Hmm.
very distinctive.
Nice. Is the instrument you were thinking about wooden typically?
I
I,
think so.
I
Yeah,
can picture it, but I
yeah.
just can't remember the name. Hmm.
It's like, oh man, they have like they have holes on the side that you can like kind of cover with your thumbs. I had one that was shaped like a frog. I don't I don't remember what it's called,
Yeah.
but I'm sure
Hey,
someone knows. So
if you
let
know what
us
you're talking,
know.
yeah, let us know. I birdsarereal.pod@gmail.com
Yeah,
or at birdsarerealpod at Instagram. Send us in hoot topics. Midge, continue sending in your great hoot topics. Anyone else who hasn't sent in a hoot topic, you will be first on the list if you haven't sent in a hoot topic before. So,
yeah.
um, ask away.
Ask away. And here's a challenge for you listeners. We want you to put together a band, but instead of a five-piece rock band or a brass quintet, we want you to put together a band of um like a bluegrass band. Put together a bluegrass band.
Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah. What
So,
bird would be like a banjo? It's interesting thought.
it's a good one.
Interesting thought.
Banjo, mandolin,
Hmm.
whatever you want in your bluegrass band. But send it to us. We'll feature the best one on the next episode. And if no one sends one in, we'll just pretend like we never mentioned this.
So. For everyone listening, it's probably a little bit after Valentine's Day, maybe a few days to a week or so, but for us, it's right around Valentine's Day and love is in the air. And you know what that means? There's only
Yeah.
one logical conclusion we can come to, and that is to do a bird love themed episode for the podcast.
All right. Bird love. Love to hear it. It is certainly Valentine's Day weekend. We're recording this the day after Valentine's Day. I saw a lot of people walking around with like desperation flowers in their hand. I think they forgot to give those flowers yesterday, so they're trying to make up for it today. That has nothing to do with birds. I just thought it was kind of funny and I wanted to point it out.
Yeah, another funny desperation Valentine's Day thing. I have a couple of friends that have worked in like, food service industry. And they tell me that every Valentine's Day, there's always some dude who pretends to have a reservation that, planned it ahead and everything, and just causes a scene, because he
Yeah,
yeah,
I believe
uh,
that.
show that he pre-planned, which, maybe we'll get into some of these bird actions as well.
Ooh,
So
okay.
let's just get into it.
Let's do it.
So well, people may picture, the societal ideal of birds mating for life, that's like, birds made for life. Oh, that's so human-like. That's so nice. But as you may expect, bird relationships in real life can be pretty complex and sometimes even go against the status quo.
What? You're telling me that birds And humans are different.
I'm telling you, they're different. They have different societal structures. I know this is a hot take, but I thought I'd be the one to just break the news here.
Wow.
Um, and yeah, different species can have different mating systems, different mating styles. So, Sam, I ask you, do you have a preferred mating style?
Um, yeah. Wow. I didn't know we're turning into this kind of podcast.
I mean,
Yeah,
hey,
I think well I do the emperor penguin thing. I just go out and find as many pebbles as I can and present them and hope they're good enough.
okay, hey, that's a good strategy. And we need to spice things up a little bit to get more listeners onto the podcast. And this is just, one of my ideas. But
Yeah. Yeah, let us
great.
know if that's the direction you want our podcast to go.
Yeah, we can do more of this if you'd like.
Mating advice.
Um, Mating advice. So, the in humans, the most common mating system or mating style is monogamy. Um, and 90% of birds are socially monogamous. And why do you think that is?
Um, well, because that's the way God intended, right?
I mean, that is correct, but any
Right.
other hypotheses?
I don't know. Is there just so much competition that like their goal each breeding season is just to like ha lay eggs? Once they've done that, like there isn't much else to do, right?
Right. And we'll get into a little bit how, that same logic can lead to different types of mating styles, not just monogamy, but it's mainly the share of incubation duties. A lot of bird offspring are born, not, you know, they're born not totally independent, right? Which, hatchlings, they need their mothers to feed them, they need incubation for them, that kind of thing. So a share of incubation duties is one of the primary reasons why birds are monogamous. So there can be a share of responsibility.
Interesting. That makes sense. That makes sense because I guess like evolutionarily, biologically, you're like you want to have children so they like live and sort of succeed you and carry on your lineage. So both parents want to be involved and make sure that their offspring lives. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and I should have said this at the top of the episode. I got most of this information from Brent Burt. He's a professor of biology at SFASU in Texas.
All right.
Um, or at least was. I don't know if he still is, but
Thanks, Brent.
thanks, Brent, Mr. Burt. Um,
Professor Bert.
Professor Burt. So, while I did say 90% of birds are socially monogamous, this does not mean that, 90% of birds mate for life. It's typically mating for the breeding season. Mating for life is a lot rarer. Um, do you know some species that do mate for life?
Well, okay, I wanted to ask you about this because last week we talked about penguins. I think in March of the Penguins, it's heavily insinuated or perhaps outright said that emperor penguins mate for life, but I think this is actually a myth. I don't think they do. I think it's like you said, they mate for the duration of the breeding period, but then like year over year, it can be different.
Yeah, so you're right. I think it is a myth. They do, primarily mate for just that breeding season, and I think emperor penguins in particular, um, you know, hatch or like lay only one egg at a time. So I think maybe that's why, there's this whole like comparison to humans, like, one birth, one gestational period. So, maybe people are trying to extrapolate that, emperor penguins also mate for life, that kind of thing. But you're right. They mate per season.
Okay, well, so then is it like I'm trying to think of birds that like famously are like pairs. So doves, I don't know, are doves mating for life, or maybe swans? They make the heart with their little necks, you know?
Mhm.
Or what's the last one? Grebes. Don't grebes do those like amazing mating dances?
Yeah, grebes do, have some elaborate mating dances. I don't have them down here for mating for life. Doesn't
Okay.
mean they don't. I just don't have them down here. Also don't know about mourning doves or doves in general, but swans, totally right.
They do. Okay, cool.
Swans mate for life. Although I did find that mute swans kind of have like a 3% annual divorce rate, so sometimes they get divorced.
Yeah.
But swans, typically mate for life. Um, as well as black vultures, some eagle species, albatrosses, and northern cardinals.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Well, so now that you mentioned eagles, that makes a lot of sense. I wonder if osprey maybe do too. I don't know, but you always see those big eagle nests. A lot of times there's like eagle cams, where they'll have
Hmm.
it pointed at
Yeah.
a nest, where it's that pair comes back and raises young every year. So now that you mention that sounds familiar.
Yeah. And one more thing about monogamy, just in terms of like a competition sense, females will actively fight off other rival females because males, if they see a better opportunity, they're just gonna get up and leave, right? So the females that are already mated, they will actively fight off other females because males can, if they see a better breeding opportunity, a better opportunity to pass on their lineage, maybe a more fit female, they'll just up and leave. So
Wow. Pretty harsh. Pretty harsh, guys.
pretty harsh, but gotta do what you gotta do sometimes. Moving on to polygamy. And there's two subcategories of polygamy. There's polygyny, diabolical word, by the way, Polyggyny,
Oh no. That's awful.
or polygyny. I don't know. But yeah, interesting spelling. And we have polyandry.
What
So
about
polygyny.
ethical non-monogamy? Wasn't that one of the ones you wanted to talk about?
That actually is going to come up later, I think.
Okay,
So,
nice.
not explicitly ethical non-monogamy, but we're going to call that promiscuity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Um, I think we attach a lot of like human sentiments to these words, right?
Yeah,
But we're purely talking by evolutionary biology here.
yeah. No
Um,
moral shaming going on here.
no moral shaming going on, but hey, if that's fun for you, enjoy the podcast.
Yeah.
Cool. So polygyny, Polyggyny, is when one male mates with multiple females, and forms pair bonds with multiple females. There's a lot of different reasons why polygyny can occur. One reason is called resource defense polygyny. What do you think that entails?
Resource
Resource defense.
defense. Interesting.
And
I don't
again,
know.
just to steer you in the right direction, this is males mating with multiple females.
Okay. So resource defense, um, is it the males, I don't know, like they want to build up as many offspring as possible to defend their resources? I don't know.
Uh, Close. I think you may have had it reversed. But so the first thing is dominant males will monopolize resources
Uh,
and therefore attract females to come to them for
nice.
offspring. So th this can occur commonly in habitats such as marsh habitats where sometimes resources can, be sparse, especially if these birds need a very specific habitat, like maybe right where the wetland water meets, dry ground, that kind of thing, which, just happens along, specific now I don't want to call them coastlines because it's like a marsh habitat, but it's where like the water can meet the land. So there's limited breeding grounds of that nature. So a dominant male will monopolize, an area or territory, and females will come to that male.
Okay.
Um so given that this is common in marsh habitats, any guesses as to what species may exhibit this resource defense polygyny?
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking marsh habitats, I my first thought is long-legged waders, so herons or soras or other gallinals, rails, etc. I don't know if that's the right track.
It's a good guess. Might go a little smaller though, even a little smaller.
Oh, so perhaps pipers, sandpipers, plovers. Um, nope.
I'm giving you one more shot at this, and then I'm just gonna tell you the answer, okay? Because this has gone on for a long time.
Okay.
Um, non-shorebirds.
Non-shore, I don't know, ducks?
So, good guesses, all of them. I
It's
was
very
gonna,
nice of you to say that.
yeah. I was thinking more red-winged blackbirds, marsh wrens,
Oh, of
indigo
course.
buntings.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, a red-winged blackbird, a dominant male red-winged blackbird, may, claim an area and a resource abundant area, fight off males for that area and attract females. And you may think the females, they see this dominant male in a resource heavy area, they're just gonna flock to that male. And many do, but they do have this choice, right? Because when there is a higher quality male, there's going to be a lot more females, trying to breed with that male. And like we said before, when we were talking about monogamy, you know, a, sh a shared parental duties are really important in raising offspring and, raising viable offspring. So if a female is mating with this, higher quality male, that male's attention and resources may be divided up against a lot of different females, and the female may have to primarily raise offspring on their own, which is, not ideal. So even in these resource defense polygyny systems, females may choose a lower quality male just for the more secure parental care responsibilities.
Right. I mean, sometimes lower quality males are the way to go. I'm not saying I'm speaking from experience, but you know, you got to respect the people who go for the lower quality males.
And hey, listen, just from a evolutionary standpoint, lower quality males, because they're so involved in the parental care, offspring, a lot of times can be just as viable as the ones with, the better gene pools, the higher quality males. So
All
just some
right.
food for thought. Just some
Hey,
food for thought.
that's good. That's good to hear. I'm glad to hear it. Uh,
Um, yeah. Okay. Moving on to polyandry. So, just backing up a bit, polygyny is more rare than monogamy because, monogamy, like I said, 90% of birds are socially monogamous, most of those pairing for the season. But polyandry, which is when the female has multiple male partners, that's actually quite rare. It doesn't happen super often.
oh,
Um, so your guesses for birds that, did or engaged in polygyny, a lot of those are answers for birds that engage in polyandry. So sandpipers, phalaropes, rails,
oh,
specifically this spotted sandpipers exhibit this behavior very very, I guess, famously.
that's interesting. So, like, does the female lay multiple clutches per breeding season, or how does that
So
work?
it's a good question. So there's this reversed sexual selection. Typically, males are actually, I don't know. I don't want to say typically, but this phenomenon where females are larger, brighter, and more aggressive, that is more common in polyandry and called reverse sexual selection. Um, and this time the roles are reversed, right? So the female may have multiple partners, and lay multiple clutches of eggs, but the males a lot of the time are the primary caretakers, where the female is less of a caretaker for the offspring.
Interesting. Okay, is this also the case in birds of prey? Because I know in some of those, like peregrine falcons, the female is typically larger. Um, Maybe in bald eagles too. I don't know. No, we already
Yeah,
talked about bald eagles, but.
Yeah, as I was saying that, I was thinking about that too in terms of birds of prey, because a lot of times the birds of prey, the females are larger. I don't think they exhibit polyandry though. So I
Okay,
don't think, all these traits or these behaviors are like, mutually exclusive.
right.
But in a lot of cases in polyandry, reverse sexual selection, where the female is larger, is a lot more prevalent.
Okay. That's interesting. Spotted sandpipers. Woke
Spotted sandpipers.
queens.
All right, and then now moving on to, maybe ethical mono ethical non-monogamy, um, also known as promiscuity, in what we're talking about here, is when birds mate without forming any pair bond. So they mate and they just move on.
Oh,
There's no, staying with that particular partner for the season, or not staying for that particular partner for life. Um, and there's no difference in maybe there's no difference in males finding multiple partners or females finding multiple partners. They both find multiple partners.
interesting.
um and interestingly enough, resource defense comes up in this case too. Um so some examples can include hummingbirds. Hummingbirds, especially male hummingbirds, will try to monopolize a territory of flowers, of blooming flowers for nectar, and or frugivores, blooming trees with fruit, and
You said
females,
frugivores?
frugivores.
I've never heard that.
Like,
That's just like their diet is fruit.
yeah,
That's a good word.
going off screen here for a sec. Yeah, frugivores. So, I mean, it's the same idea, but a female will be more attracted to a male monopolizing a lot of resources, but after they mate, they just kind of dip. So they're not really, staying pair bonded with that male.
That's interesting. So, in terms of like raising the young, does that just fall to the female or like how does that work?
Uh, like I said, it can go either way. The resource defense is, just an example where maybe, the male is maybe being a little more promiscuous, but I think it probably also depends on the species. For hummingbirds, I would imagine the female is mainly raising those, raising that clutch and then leaving for a different male, or vice versa. The male is leaving for a different female. So there's not, after the offspring is raised, they don't really stay bonded after that.
Okay, interesting. I wonder if I can't remember the word for this, but I wonder if it comes into play. There are some animals, and I assume some birds that are born having like gestated longer, and they can basically like move like right after birth. And there are some
Hmm.
that really need like, you know, help after they're born. I wonder if these birds that fall into the promiscuity category, maybe they're more able when they're born than other birds.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, especially so I looked into it with hummingbirds, and hummingbirds don't actually ex exhibit that, which I found
Okay.
strange as well, because like you said, you would think, maybe the offspring is a little more capable at birth, so the parents don't have to care for them as much. But at least in the case for hummingbirds, that's not what I found. The hummingbird babies do, need parental care
Okay.
significantly at birth.
Cool.
Yeah. But it's a good thought. I had the same thought too. And last but not least, we're gonna go into same-sex pairings. I feel like
Birds.
we've been pretty heteronormative so far on this
Wow.
podcast. Would you expect same-sex pairings among birds to be uncommon, or pretty common?
Well, the way you phrased that question, I'm expecting it to be pretty common, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of led you into that one a little bit.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
that's cool.
So, I
I'd
mean,
like to hear about it.
yeah, overall, I guess just in terms of, pure statistics, they're pretty uncommon, but there might be more common than you think, especially depending on species. For example, the gray lag goose, terrible wingspan bird, by the way. I don't think I've ever played it.
Never. Yeah.
Um, a fifth of their long-term pairs are male to male pairings.
Nice. So they raise the young together?
They raise the young together. So obviously, they'll need a female to you know, lay the egg, so
Hmm.
they will mate with the female. But the female will leave, and two males will raise or care for the young, raise the young together.
That's interesting. That's really cool.
Also similar, also can be the case in albatrosses and penguins, specifically male to male relationships. While seagulls and parrots often show female to female relationships, and in that case it'll be the male leaving after fertilizing the eggs, and two
Hmm.
females will care for them.
It's interesting that the seagulls and albatrosses kind of do it the opposite of each other, huh? Because I think of seagulls and albatrosses as kind of the same bird, but clearly not.
Yeah, I mean, they're similar in many ways, seabirds, and all that. But yeah, I didn't go super into okay, so into why each species may do what they do,
Sure.
but I think a lot of the drive for same sex partnerships in birds is parental care disparity. So if in the case where, maybe in promiscuity, or just if a male leaves, if a female leaves, if there's only other birds of the same sex, they will still pair bond and care for the same young together, which I found interesting because especially in either relationship, but like for example, male to male, only one male you know
Like biologically
is
related, right?
biologically going to be related to their children and caring for their children. So it's interesting to me that a male that is not passing on their genes will also be so invested. Um, But I think they did a study in zebra finches where if they just remove all the females from the population, males will bond together. So like the drive for bonding is primary, and sexual selection is secondary. So I think birds just want to bond out here.
Nice. That is really interesting to think about, I guess. It kind of makes me think about our symbiosis episode. We talked about a lot
Hmm.
of like bird to non-bird symbiosis, but
Hmm.
there's like, interspecies or intraspecies, whichever one means like within the same
Intra.
species,
Yeah.
sort of symbiosis and like they're bonded together and like yeah, I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, and this can also especially occur if the sex ratio is skewed in the population. If for some reason there's a lot more females or a lot more males, there's going to be whatever is in abundance, they're going to pair up together. So there's going to be a lot more male male or female female pairings, and a lot of the time, or every time, raising a clutch alone is going to be a lot worse versus raising a clutch with you know with another pair, or
Right.
with another. So maybe that's why, even if one of the pairs or one in the pair is not even biologically or like evolutionarily driven, or like incentivized to care for a clutch, they still do, just to increase the likelihood that the clutch hatches.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's interesting. It's kind of like, you know, I think there's definitely a aspect of bonded, just there, I'm sure there's some sort of evolutionary desire to be bonded with another bird. And then also kind of like looking out for the species as a whole, regardless of if it's related to you or not, right? Like
Hmm.
zebra finches
Yeah.
maybe think like, you know, zebra finches are great. Let's make sure it takes a village, right? It's kind of that sort of sentiment.
It takes a village, and so I didn't talk about Lex this episode, but while I was researching, I was learning about Lex a little bit, and I think some of that maybe thought process may apply here where these birds that bond together, in a same-sex pairing, they may be more genetically related to each other. So there may be a little more incentive to pair to care for another's offspring, even if it's not your offspring, because you are more closely related to that bird.
That's interesting. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So it's kind of like sort of in the family still, but
Sort
yeah.
of in the family still. Yeah, anytime we try to relate this to humans, it can get a little wonky. But
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
And we should say we already said this, but just again, you know, birds are not people. We're not trying to say that like, this exhibit, the birds do this thing and humans do this. But we're just trying to have some fun with it. So,
yeah, exactly. Birds are not people. People are not birds. Let's
yeah.
not draw any false equivalencies here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that's all I got for bird mating today.
I think it's really interesting. I think that's yeah, like some things I didn't think about, and I think what stood out to me the most is you mentioned mute swans is the bird that'll get divorced. That divorce rate is way lower than people. 3%. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So
Yeah, what's
even
people?
mute swans,
Isn't it like
it's
50%? Like
50%, I think. Yeah,
that's kind of wild.
yeah. But
Um,
thanks. I feel the love on this Valentine's Day or this post Valentine's Day, whenever this episode ends up coming out. But
Sometime in February for sure.
sometime in February for sure.
Yeah.
Probably in the week following Valentine's Day.
All right. So now we're at the end of our podcast episode. But we got one more thing for you. Our what do we call this now?
We still
Closing
call
call,
it
but
closing caw. Yeah.
okay. All right. So the closing call, but in the theme of Valentine's Day, in the theme of bird mating, I have created a BuzzFeed style quiz for you, Sam.
All
And
right.
I'm gonna ask you three questions. Depending on your answer, we're gonna find you your bird soulmate.
This is exciting news. I've been looking for this forever. So
And the best way to truly understand yourself and come to major life decisions is by taking a BuzzFeed quiz. So
I
I think
agree.
this
That's
is
how I've made
perfect.
all my decisions.
Yes, exactly. All right, ready to get started?
I'm ready.
All right. Question one. What does your ideal Valentine's Day look like? Valentine's Day date look like, I should say. Um, A, a romantic, intimate candlelight dinner. B, an exciting action-packed adventure, skydiving, drinks later, bowling after maybe. Or C, you're unsure. You're gonna let your partner plan everything, and as long as they're happy, you'll be happy.
C.
Okay, we'll go with C. Question number two. How do you feel about sharing household responsibilities? A, true 50-50. You're all about teamwork, as long as everyone's contributing equally, the relationship's going to be great. Uh, B, you're a free spirit that just can't be tied down to shared responsibilities. You do your thing, you hope they can do their thing, but you know, it's like you got to do your thing.
Yeah.
And C, you're happy to take the lead at home and do most of the work. Let your partner go out and do their thing.
Oh boy. I'm gonna say A this time. True
A,
50-50
true
partners,
50-50. Yeah, that's a good answer. Good answer. All right, question three, the last question. Uh, yeah, this quiz gathers a lot of data and comes up with a very conclusive response. So we're
Yeah.
on question three, the last question.
All right.
Um, how do you feel about commitment? A, you're looking for your soulmate, your partner for life. B, let's just see what happens. Keep your options open. You're not really, yeah. And C, You're committed to your partner solely and your offspring, but you're okay if your partner has multiple partners, they can do their thing, but you're really committed to your family unit.
Wow. What's gonna show the Birds Are Real podcast audience that I'm like cool, that I'm evolved, that I'm such a good person? Because that's all I really care about. I'm gonna go with C. I'm committed, but my partner can do whatever they want.
Okay, so you're C. Okay,
Yep.
perfect. So you have chosen mainly C. Number one, you chose C. Question two, you chose A. Question three, you chose C. So you're most aligned with your partner, ideal partner being the spotted sandpiper.
Nice. All right. Hold on. I know this
Classic,
one. Polyandry.
yes,
All
polyandry, where the
right.
female has multiple male partners. So there you go. How do you feel about that?
I'm just that kind of guy, you know?
Just that kind of guy. Yeah.
I'm just I'm built different, I guess, is all I'm saying.
Built different, and hey, it works for the spotted sandpiper community. I'm pretty sure they're not endangered.
Hope
Pretty
not.
sure.
Yeah,
And they're cool birds. So
they
I
are
think
cool
that's a
birds.
great choice. If you chose mostly A, which was a romantic candlelight dinner, a true 50-50 teamwork, and you're looking for your soulmate bird would have been a black vulture.
Nice. Oh, that would have been a good one too. I love a
Yeah,
vulture.
black vultures do mate for life.
That's right. You said that.
Yeah.
That's
And
cool.
if we went with B, which would have been, an exciting action-packed adventure for your ideal date. Not really worried about household responsibilities, shared responsibilities, not really worried about that. And also not really worried about commitment, just kind of seeing what happens. Your ideal mate would have been a ruby-throated hummingbird.
I thought it might be a hummingbird when you were giving that description. The hummingbird, the lifestyle is just a little too fast for me. I can't keep
Yeah,
up.
and you got to respect. Yeah, I can respect that too. Like, maybe early on in your life, you may feel like a hummingbird, but you know,
Eventually,
now
we
that
all
we're
got to become vultures or sandpipers, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So I think you had some wise answers there. And yeah, do you think this is a great quiz that maybe everyone should take to maybe direct their entire life?
I think so. I know a lot of you have been reaching out to us with relationship issues, worried
Hmm.
about, you want advice on your dating profiles, things like that. Take this quiz. This is gonna put you in the right direction, I think.
Good, good. Yeah, I'm glad we're doing something for the people here today.
Yeah. All we do is give back, and we ask for nothing in return.
You gotta give.
You gotta give.
You gotta give. Um,
All right. Well,
all
thank
right.
you. This has been a fun episode, a thematically appropriate episode. And I quite enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks for listening to me babble on about bird mating systems. Hopefully all you all listening enjoy it as well. If you have any questions or just like we said, our love language, positive affirmations, just send those to us at birdsarereal.pod@gmail.com or at birdsarerealpod on Instagram.
Yep. We also open to gift giving, so if you feel like
Mm.
Venmoing us $10,000, contact us. We'll tell you how to do that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Physical touch might be a little tough.
Yeah. Don't want
Yeah.
that.
No,
If
that's
that's what you're
okay.
considering, do the $10,000 instead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Cool. Great. You can reach us as always through email, birdsarereal.pod@gmail.com. You can contact us through direct messaging or DMs, as they call it, on Instagram at birdsarerealpod. Or you can just follow us and like all our pictures. That's pretty cool too.
All right. Until next time.
Until next time, that's the music.